guys, welcome back to another testimony as we are in our series Testify. Today we are with our friend Micah. And Micah, thanks for being here today and taking some time to tell us your story.
Yeah.
I keep reiterating this, but just as an encouragement, the scripture says that the enemy is defeated by the blood of the Lamb and the word of their testimony. They're being the saints. You are a saint. So as we share our story, we defeat the enemy because the blood's already been shed.
Amen.
So thanks for being here. And of course, I've got my lovely wife, Carmen, and we're just going to jump right in. So Micah, we've known you now for about a year and a half?
Something
like
year
that.
and a half. Let's see, it's 24. Year and a half.
About
November,
a year and a half.
November 22, 23, we started coming.
Okay. Yeah. So
had to be 22. Yeah.
So we had some passing conversations, and then I've watched some things happen in your life, and we've had some deeper conversations, and we even enjoyed a time in January doing some cold plunges and praying and going before the Lord. So
it's a beautiful time.
Yeah. So, and I know that you're right now currently serving in several areas. You have been on the rotation for teaching and youth. You and your wife, you guys are doing childcare on Wednesday nights for the youth workers' kids.
Yeah.
And then you're also on the communications team that does the announcements and the exhortations post-worship. And I think you've even expressed some desire to get into some teaching areas.
100%.
Yeah. So how did we get here? Let's go all the way back to baby Micah.
Baby Micah. All right. It's by God's grace we're here.
Yeah,
so
all right.
Establish that. So baby Micah, let's see. Grew up in North Carolina, born in Winston-Salem, grew up for 2 years, then moved to Savannah.
Okay.
So grew up in Savannah. And my biological father was stationed at Hunter. And he was a ranger in the military, and he was deployed a lot in Korea. And so after his deployment was done, he was actually, I found out later in life, dishonorably discharged from the military. And so he wanted to go back home to North Carolina. My mom wanted to stay here, so they split. And he, on his way back to North Carolina, stopped in different places and grew his family, but then continued to leave them behind. And so he made it back to North Carolina. My brother was born in 2002 when we moved down here. And so me and my brother were raised in Savannah. Moved around.
So how old were you when this happened?
About 2.
Okay.
2 when he left. My brother was just born.
So you were really young.
Yeah, super young. I don't remember it at all.
Oh, yeah.
I remember the aftermath.
Okay.
And so as we were growing up, we moved around from here and there, and then eventually got in a steady place where I remember growing up in Springfield Rincon area.
Okay.
She moved from Savannah out there, and it was a beautiful place, beautiful town.
Cost of living's lower, so a lot of people make that decision to get a little bit further out.
Calmer time, calmer place. Better-ish schools, that's up for debate. What school was better than God's school? That could be.
My daughter-in-law calls it Meffingham.
Yep, that is the name, Meffingham, because you never know what you're going to get. But if you look on the corner, there might be some of that there. And so it was an okay place. Got raised there, and let's see. My mom met my stepdad named James, amazing man. He raised me to be the man I am now. And as we were in elementary school, my mom, I presume, enrolled us in Wonderful Wednesdays, it was after school program for elementary school kids, where we would go to the Baptist church down the road from the school and hang out with other kids, sing worship, play video games, and just learn a little bit about the Word.
So were you in Sunday church at this time?
No,
so
no
you weren't
Sunday
attending church, but your mom has you going to this Wednesday thing, so you're getting some
exposure, some knowledge on the Word, but not a good backbone.
And is your mom communicating to you at this time, hey, I'm sending you to this because while we don't go to church, this is important? Or is it just kind of like, hey, this is just a way to have childcare?
I don't explicitly remember, but if I had to retroactively assume based on our conversations in today's world, it would be that she was raised in the Christian faith in North Carolina, but she didn't follow through with it a lot in her daily life, but she knew it was important. So it was, you're going to this because it's important, and it's an after-school program that can take care of you while I'm still at work, and I believe in support in it. but yeah, Sunday worship in church was
This
not.
was not part of it.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And retrospectively, it's understandable, I think, but I don't know. It was elementary
Yeah.
school, so I
Mhm.
was 6 to 12,
Yeah.
and didn't fully understand.
Okay.
Yeah.
But in that time, I was 7 years old or so. Our pastor Chance was a phenomenal preacher. I would go home each day, pray at the bed before I went to sleep, and one day, just felt my 7-year-old self felt like, oh, I need to ask, because I guess it was preached probably that Wednesday, that you need to ask Jesus to come into your heart and soul and guide your life. And so that night I went home and prayed that. The next week I went to Pastor Chance and was like, hey, I prayed this. And it was this phenomenal, uplifting moment that I'll never forget.
That's awesome.
And so
So you did that all alone though.
yeah,
You
yeah.
went home that night, knelt at your bed,
Mhm.
and no offense to mom and dad, but
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
not in the room with you. You're just processing information that's been disseminated to you,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
in the midst of that, your spirit's stirring.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
that's-
the bus driver who took us there was there at that moment because it was as soon as we ran in, it was 7-year-old excitement. Wanted to be, Pastor Chance, guess what I did? I just wanted to tell him about it, and so us three kind of celebrated, maybe took a
Oh.
picture, and so that was a great moment. And then from then on, after elementary school, stopped attending Wednesday services, but you could tell, like retrospectively thinking back on it, once God's in your life, He's gonna come for you.
Oh, yeah.
And so I had so many friends, so many community. I was in band. Band is a very tight knit group of Christians. At least they try to be. I don't know how it is these days.
You talking about
But
the school band?
school band, yeah.
Oh yeah, what instrument?
I played trumpet.
Okay.
Nice.
Trumpet in the school band, mellophone in the marching band. But I loved trumpet. It was great.
So a lot of Christians were involved in.
Mhm.
So in high school, you have a lot of believers around you.
So
100%.
why don't you play trumpet on the worship team?
I'm getting there. I'm
Okay.
getting there. We're
All
working
right.
on it.
All right.
I practiced.
'Cause
I
I
sat in
think-
the closet for a long
Yeah.
time, and then
Josh is in the background. He
it was,
can
I
he can
think-
hear this now.
What was her name? I don't remember her name. Not Miss Lisa, but Ken's wife,
Oh, Cheryl.
Cheryl. Me and her were talking about it. She's like, "You play any instruments?" I was like, "Yeah, trumpet." She's like, "Oh, why don't you play up there?" And I was
Anybody
like,
ever try to tell you, well, if you can play the trumpet, you can play the blah 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 blah?
"No, actually,
Okay.
trumpet is very niche."
My dad played the trumpet.
Yeah?
I guess in band. It's when I was a kid, he'd pull his little trumpet out sometimes, and
Depending upon the person, I think you could make it versatile to whatever you want.
Sure.
Like if you know the clefs and the time signatures and stuff, you could play anything.
so you could be
It's
the
just
next Kenny G.
Could be.
Yeah.
Could
All
be.
right.
Wow.
Okay.
We're
Let's
getting
keep
there. We're
going.
getting
Let's keep
Okay.
going. So you're in high school. There's Christians around you. You're still not going to church.
No church, not regularly anyway.
Yeah.
But am getting swayed with some of my friends to start going to their Wednesday services, but never making it to Sunday service. Never fully committed to that, but still hearing their Wednesday services at the Baptist church, different one, but down the road from school again.
And what does your life look like right now? Are you in rebellion? Are you in sin? Or are you just kind of focused on school and just feel like you're just normal?
That's a good question. Never thought about it, so let's retroactively think. Pretty neutral, just focused on school, but I wasn't super good at it. I was really good at the trumpet, but not the best. It was always that there's somebody better than you, and they were always in my class. And so I always had something to strive for, but still somewhat in rebellion because I forsake myself and didn't practice. So I wanted to be better, but I didn't put
You
in the
didn't put
work
in the
to
work,
be
yeah.
better.
But you weren't like out carousing
No,
and
no,
causing
I was-
problems. You were
I got compared to my brother a lot at the time, and we were kind of polar opposites. I tried to stay by the book, but didn't work hard enough for it,
Yeah.
and he kind of got messed up by the system, and
Okay.
so he sadly didn't follow that same path.
I got you.
But we came back together, and we're closer now than we've ever been.
Okay.
And so, not really. I tried to stay by the book, but never put in the work to be
Yeah.
by the book.
Yeah, well, some people, their testimony is it was drugs or running around with girls or
Yeah.
just sneaking out and being drunk or whatever. And it sounds like you're saying like you made this decision for Christ at 7, and though you weren't really in church, you also weren't really into a lot of the like normal, rebellious teenage stuff. You just were a
We
little.
got there eventually. though.
Okay, all
we
right,
got
let's
there
get there,
eventually.
let's get
so,
there. All right.
as we finished high school, I wanted to explore those terrible, deep secrets of
Okay.
what is all this stuff that people talk about. So I went to college, went to GSU, and got into those things.
Okay.
Was smoking marijuana, alcohol, and in the wrong crowd. the people weren't the worst, but they weren't encouraging good behaviors, so you could say they weren't the best.
So were you in Statesboro or?
Yeah, I was living in
Okay.
Statesboro, away from
Yeah.
the family, by myself, with people who also partake in the same things. And so
Yeah.
that was definitely a rebellious time and path where I was like, oh, I never did any of this stuff. How
So
do I
when
try
you
to
were in
follow?
high school, you're surrounded by a group of believers. You get to college and you're not finding that group of believers is just naturally around you.
100%, not as naturally, but still worked their way into my life.
Yeah.
That was home life, but then I started working at a outdoor adventure place. It's called Southern Adventures, phenomenal place. But there was believers there, and they were like, "Hey, how about you come to church with us?" And they're like, "Hey, why don't you stop doing this stuff? Come hang out with us at church." And then it kind of got to me a little bit. I was like, "All right, let me try it." And I did a little bit, but kept running away from it.
Okay.
But God kept putting people in my life. I was like, come back. I'm trying to get you, and you're not listening. And I didn't. I ran. And eventually it was like, all right, something's got to change. But I didn't come up with that. It was my wife that made that movement in me that you need to be a better man. Otherwise, why am I here?
So you're in college. How do you go from college to wife?
Yeah. So college, I ran out of money
Okay.
because I was partaking in these things, spending my money on that
Yeah.
and not on school and focus. I lost scholarships and had to leave school. I ran out of money. Wasted a lot of my own and other people's money on school, and so I had to leave. And
How long were you there?
in total, 2-3 years.
Okay.
And so I had some credits built up,
Yeah.
but it was probably 50-50 credits that I earned and credits that I failed.
Yeah.
And so I had no progress on some type of degree or what I wanted to do with my life.
Sure.
And so then COVID hit and everything shuts down. And I worked at a restaurant, and so had no job. But my old job, the animal hospital, was still open. Apparently it was a necessity. So it stayed open and was like, oh, I can go work here. And they
Okay.
needed a supervisor. So I came in.
Where is
supervised.
this located at?
It's in Rincon, right in
in
between Rincon and Springfield
Okay.
on Highway 21. Webb's used to work there and manage the kennel area.
In high school or
From high school into college. So
into college?
I
Okay.
started working there when I was 14. As soon as I could start
Wow.
working, I was
Okay.
like, start working. I had to get counselor's approval in order to do that.
Yeah.
And I would ride to school there before I could drive. Then I could drive, and I would drive there. Worked there until I got the restaurant job. The hospital needed a better schedule. And at the time, I was in that rebellious age of, I have no schedule, work when I want to. So I quit, started working at the restaurant, making a little bit more money, but driving further and not around a great group. And so that was that. The restaurant shut down because of COVID, went back to the animal hospital, and I was at the animal hospital until last year. And then transitioned into my current job at Johnson Matthey, where I work on
Yeah.
machines.
So wife comes in.
Oh yeah, wife
there.
comes in. We met at the animal hospital, and I was on the verge of trying to leave these things, but not knowing that I should be leaving these terrible behaviors and practices. And she comes in and she deals with them for a little while. She's like, "All right, I'll
So
deal
y'all
with
start
this."
dating.
Yeah, we started
Okay.
dating.
So
At
he
the
was
animal
working
hospital.
there too.
Mm-hmm.
And y'all start dating. Okay.
Yeah, we started dating at the animal hospital, and she dealt with them for a while. A lot of terrible behavior from me, terrible attitude from me.
So let's back up. I'll slow this down for a second.
Yeah.
So you're working at the animal hospital. COVID's going on. Here comes this girl, this
Mhm.
lady, and you see her and think, what?
Oh man, fireworks.
Okay.
So I worked in the kennel and supervised kennel, so I wore these giant boots and I'm just clunking them around everywhere, just minding my own business, trying to keep my head straight and work.
Yeah.
And then there's always people coming in and out of there. It's not the best place. It's a great place
Yeah.
for service, but it's
Yeah.
hard for the workers,
Yeah,
mentally and physically.
Sure.
And so we kind of just put our head down and do our job, but people come in and out as far as workers. And so you don't really pay attention to anybody. You pay attention to your department, and that's it.
Yeah.
But I walk up front to get some water and then go down the hall to go back to my area, and I'm like, new person. But it's not like, oh, it's a new person. I felt like I needed to go talk to this person.
Yeah.
But I went to go talk to this person and didn't talk to this person. I was like, and just
All right.
walked away. Like, oh, let me get out of here. I look stupid with my big old boots. And so I walked away. And that went on for some time. No talking.
Just clunking down the
Slight-
hallway,
yeah.
no words.
Yeah.
Making awkward eye contact and then
Yeah.
ducking down the hallway.
You didn't do any
Running,
like
running.
cool like tap dance moves with your big clunker boots or nothing?
Eventually, we get there probably a week
Okay.
or two later.
All
I
right.
come up and I think she was doing some papers or copies or something, and dum, 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 dum. Hey, you want to be friends? That's the first word. Hey, you want to be friends? Not, what's your name? You want to hang out? Anything? It's just, hey, you want to be friends?
Who said that? You
Me.
or her? Oh, you said her. Okay.
So we start with that, and then we go from there. We go on dates,
Oh.
and things grow into a obviously much more amazing thing.
That's
So you guys
amazing.
are you're living this lifestyle. She's not living that lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
You are having conversations about this lifestyle, and then in the midst of that, you meet a couple in the church too, right?
Yes, 100%. We meet at that job.
Yeah.
It was another God movement because we're just working there, and I'm just a kennel supervisor. I don't do anything really as far as medical unless it's pertaining to a dog spending the night or something that happened in the daycare. That's it. The technicians deal with most of the medical stuff with the doctors, and then there's receptionists. There's a technician named Jamie, phenomenal, amazing woman who is the best, and she gets called when there's a problem.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure she was there because if she's not there, then somebody else is there named Summer, who is the next best.
Yeah.
And they call these two people if something's wrong. So one of these two people was there, and Mark and Pam have some dogs that are not the best for their nail trims. At least they weren't. Over time, they got better.
Yeah.
But they called me. Like, hey, Mike, why don't you work with this guy, see if you can get these nails cut on this dog? I was like, why me? I've got so many other things to deal with.
Yeah.
Why don't I just run away from this? Huh?
Yeah.
And so I was like, let me give it a shot. I go and meet Mark, and he reminds me, not picture frame for frame, but almost exactly like my biological father.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, man, yeah, I'll help you. Why not?
Yeah.
You seem like an amazing man. We didn't talk about anything church related. It was just, let me help you with your dog. So he came in here and there a couple of times, helped him cut his dog's nails, and they were great. And it was a good time. We made this solid connection, but that's all it was. But then one day he was like, "Would you come to lunch with us?" Yeah. And I was like, "Sure, I'll take free food." And so we go get some free food. I get free food.
Yeah.
Crazy story with that. Side note, tangent. They didn't pay for it. We all just left. And Mark he's on the way home, and he's like, "Pam, did I pay for that food?" And she's like, "Oh, I don't know." And so he calls the restaurant back, and they're like, yeah, if you could please do that. He didn't pay for the food.
That's
and they
funny.
didn't stop us. And it was just an amazing thing. And everything was fine. Obviously, he pays for it over the phone. But another strange just moment. So at the lunch, we talked about his farm and his goals and what they're involved with, the church they're involved with. And we make this grand connection. And so I started working for him a little bit on the weekends, helping him take care of his farm. And eventually, like, we really would love for you guys to come to church with us. And so I bring it up to her, and my wife is like, well, these random people you just met on the web. Why are we going to start going to church with them? Why'd they take you to lunch? Like, what's happening here? So it's a little skeptical. And in the moment, I'm like, why don't you get it? I'm all in. Let's go. Because in the moment, still partaking in these terrible, not good, godly movements.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of changes that need to happen. And she's like, if I need to trust and follow this guy too, then show me why I should trust and follow you. And so I start making those changes and movements. We come to this church, and it's just like home. It's like we just walked into our own house, God's house, and He's just grabbing us with a big hug. Like, and Mark and Pam they don't go off and do their own thing, but they've got people they've got to tend to.
Yeah, and they moved.
And then they moved.
They had moved way out, and you were helping them out there, but it was a struggle. They actually ended up finding a church there locally, and you guys have remained here. And so there's a greater testimony probably behind all of this, but your wife has a daughter, and you guys have been praying. You want to talk about that for a moment? 100%. What God's done in the last just few months on this?
Few months, and it feels like weeks because it's gone by so quick.
Because in January you were coming up with ideas for Valentine's Day to raise money. So that's how quick we are on this. So
super fast. God makes incredible movements. So we have been trying to have Liliana, as our daughter's name, be within our care and living in our home for since she's moved in with me. And it's been quite a procedure because her biological father at the time wasn't very cooperative. He didn't really like to talk to us. He didn't want to even see me or hear the mention of my name. I've gotten one. I shouldn't say I've gotten. I got one message from him that was almost a threat, like back up. And I was like, listen, man, I don't know what to say to this, so I didn't really say anything to it. And so things moved on. We kept praying for it, and we had no idea how it was going to work out. We were praying for money so we could work it out lawfully. We were praying for something to just happen.
Favor.
So yeah, anything, some kind of movement. And then he starts calling, and we get to talk to her. And then one week he's like, hey, how about I come stay with you guys? And Lily stays, and we hang out and have dinner for a little while. And then we'll go take care of myself, and Lily can stay with you guys. And we're like, I'm going to invite this guy into my house and have dinner with him. And, And it just felt like God was like, do it. Why? Scripture says, open your arms and welcome them with glad and sincere hearts and break bread together. And so I was like, I've got to do it. If I refuse it, then we're not going to see her. And are we going to build this relationship or not? Like, I never thought this was going to happen. Working with this guy, never in a million years. But God moved, and he came there, and we had dinner, and totally changed my perspective and his perspective. We get along. I gave him a Bible and a book for him to also begin to read in the YouTube so he can watch online. And he's grown a lot. And I personally have grown a lot too, because I never would have done that, bringing in an ex into our house. Like, it totally worked out. And he's a phenomenal person. He's changing, and Lily's here.
He enlisted?
Yeah, he enlisted, and he's going through the process of serving the country to better himself and his future, so that he can provide.
Yeah, and now your daughter is living with you guys, and it's all the things you've been praying for and asking God for favor on,
and more, in a way we never expected.
And last year, in the midst of kind of all this transition, you made the decision to get baptized.
Yeah, so learning from you and sitting under you, the word says, be baptized, death of the flesh, so you can be born again in the Holy Spirit, so you can continue your life in Christ. And if we're following and believing in the Bible, why are we not acting on it? And so I never acted on it. I've never been baptized. And I was like, I've got to do it. And it felt like conviction, like, you need to do this if you want to serve me properly, is what I felt was in my head. And so I was like, all right, I've got to do it. And sure enough, when we came out of that water, I was like, all right, it's time to start living your life differently.
So what is the future? What do you see? What are you asking God for?
At the moment, we are praying for wisdom and courage when it comes to raising another human. It's not something.
That's a good prayer,
right? Yeah. Right. So it's a daunting thing, but it is definitely heartwarming in a way that I never expected. It is incredible. But prayer, courage, and raising her in the faith. And knowledgeable to not be wavered when it comes to trials, but also teaching each other patience. She needs patience, we need patience, and not letting anger come in and ruin it all. So patience and courage and all of it.
That's good. I really admire you guys for the way that you serve, you and Larissa. You guys came in, like you said, like you were coming home. And I think that's how everyone has experienced you guys as friends and as church members. And so so much so that I remember when you guys came and I learned that you guys were gonna get married and everything. And I don't know if you recall this, but my first conversation with you guys that I remember is we were in the lobby at the church, and I was like, hey guys, let's work out this like marriage counseling schedule or whatever. And so we were laying it out, and I said, when's the wedding? And you go, oh, just whenever is good for y'all. And I remember Larissa looked at you like, what did you just say? But I think that speaks to like, you were so hungry for this change. Life change. You're like, I'm going to do my life according to God's ways. And you were ready to get married, and you were so flexible in it because you're like, I'm definitely doing this, so when's good, goal. And it was just so funny because I was like, well, Larissa may have a different opinion than just whenever we're ready for it. But it all worked out, and it was beautiful. And you guys are amazing, and we appreciate the way you guys serve. And praise God that you have Liliana.
And just as a word of encouragement for you, so many times the testimony of men is, I love the Lord, I ran from God. I love the Lord, I ran from God. I love the Lord, I ran from God. And the wisdom that they all have is, man, if I would have just loved the Lord and not run from God. And so, you'll have highs and lows. It's part of life, and just be encouraged to keep showing up. Even when you feel like, I'd rather be doing something else. I'd rather be sleeping. I'd rather avoid the rain. I'd rather be at the beach. Keep showing up in those moments, because it's in those moments that we kind of press in, that we really find the opportunity to hear from God in really unique ways. And I believe that if you keep doing that, your testimony will just blossom to be more and more.
Yeah. And the same for if people go through hard times, and whether they get angry or embarrassed or just like lose all oomph in life, those are times too that people fall away. And again, like we've been sitting across the table from people giving their testimony, and men who are 20 years down the road from where you are now, they're like, I was dumb. I should have just kept in church, with my family, with whatever. So it's not that church is the solution, but it's that God gives us family through other believers and community that keep us living God's ways, because of the sounding board, because of the accountability. So as you and Larissa continue to establish your family and all that, like, we're here for you, and we're so thankful that you're here.
Yeah. And one day we'll have you back with your wife, and give her an opportunity to share what God's done in her life, because she has her own testimony. And each of us stands before God with our own story, and mine and Carmen's have a lot that's intertwined, but we still are our own, or we all have our own story. So we'll have you guys back to do that. And I really appreciate you coming in and taking time to share with us. If you are at church and you see Micah and you connect with his story, hey, come up and let him know. If you are walking through a difficult season, you need some encouragement, I promise you, Micah is the guy. He will absolutely make time to connect with you, and we're always looking for more men in the group, more men to encourage one another. So find Micah, find Larissa. They're always together with their daughter. They're here almost every week, and so don't miss an opportunity to connect with other believers. I hope you're encouraged by this. Remember that the enemy is defeated by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. And so the blood of the Lamb's already been shed. Let's testify so that we can find victory each and every day. Love you guys.
Come on. Get in a community group. Join a community group. They will change your life.